I always love this one.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You just don't it away. Oh, like, cause you're.
Yeah, I have a back.
What are you doing?
If you want, I'll send it your way.
Yes, please.
Sorry, screwed up all my icons. Put that one there.
Jumped it.
God.
I say yes, please. My watch is like.
I think he was mad at me for that desktop thing I did the other day.
Still?
No, he finally talked to me yesterday. This week, but,
I was gonna say, did he finally talk about it?
yeah. Let's go ahead and launch Photoshop. We'll get going in there. So what we did last class is we made 6 eyeballs that we're going to put into a scene in Maya today. There was 2 we did together, 3 you did on your own, and then there was a special amphibian challenge frog eyeball that you were going to try to create. How many people finished all their eyeballs? Okay, so how about we do this? We'll export all the eyes that you have, and then we'll pop over into Maya and get the scene set up, and then I'll give you guys about 20-ish minutes after the scene's set up to finish your eyeballs. We'll put them all in the scene and we'll render. Does that sound good? Cool. Yeah. And if you missed yesterday, it'll give you enough time to at least do 1 eye or maybe 2, and then you can just put those in your scene and come back and render later when you got more. All right, so everyone go ahead and go into your Photoshop. Go ahead and go do an open and find your My Textures directory. And I want you to find all your eyeball files and open those guys up. You should have 5. Did I save my frog one? It's annoying. I should have done this.
Well, I thought he said 6.
Oh yeah, 6. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I know I did. Okay. So I only have 3. I only did 3 yesterday.
I got that song stuck in my head now.
Like generic rocks. Yeah, so you can open multiple files. If you just do an open and then find the files you want, and then just like hold Control. So I can click on all 3 of these files here if I wanted, and open them all at once, and it opens up in different tabs. I'm just opening random things. I'll close these up. I just want to show you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Like I said, if you don't have eyes now, we'll get you to the point where you can render it, and then you can go back and make some eyes. Okay. Yeah, you guys should have, we did a green eye together, we did this brown one, and we added a reflection this time and more veins to the eyeball because it looked cool. And then we did this weird frog eye based on that photo that I have somewhere here. You guys doubted that I had it, but I did. Yeah, so that was the frog eye we were trying to recreate. That middle part there. So what I want you guys to do is we're going to export all of these eyes as PNGs. We don't need bump maps for the eyes for what we're doing. We don't need spec maps. We're just going to make them all really shiny. Like they're all like slick or wet or something gross.
And we do that in Maya, right?
Yeah, we're going to do all that with the materials in Maya. So I kind of tested it yesterday, I think, or Tuesday. It's going to look really nice. So go ahead and go to your first eyeball, do a file, save as, and keep the file name I01, and change the file type to PNG. So I01 PNG.
Okay.
I'm not making a diffuse, a spec, or a bump map. I just have the color diffuse, so I don't need to label each one like we did with our other projects. So just I01 PNG, save that guy out.
Out there in the job world, usually by doing DBS, that's pretty common when you're doing files that they know.
It's going to be however your production pipeline runs. So they might have different systems, but just do what's going to work for your group.
Okay.
I think that's a nice way of doing it. That's how I've done it.
No, it seems to make sense. I mean, because I just didn't know if that's like a process.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Everyone probably has their own pipeline because you got to be able to find all your assets. You're spending a lot of money to make them.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go to my second eyeball file, save as. Again, I'm saving it to my iDrive in the My Textures folder, I02. And I'm gonna save that out as my PNG. Yeah, come on, coffee, be good. Big old Starbucks, like, oh, it's like half off, you get a drink, and I go, and they're like, oh, it's not even a Starbucks card.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, since I'm here anyway.
Well, since I'm here.
Alright, so I'll go to my next eye. I only have 3, you guys should all have 6 though, so I want you to do this with all 6 eyes. Just go through to each eye and do a file save as. I'll call this one I6. That's what it should have been. I06. I'll just put frog right now. Alright, so everyone export all your eyeballs. Let me know if you need help with that. Once you've exported all your eyeballs as PNGs to your iDrive My Textures, go ahead and launch Maya 2019. So I picked out an HDRI for us. It looks pretty nice. I cleaned the scene up so it'll work without being a problem in Maya. I got rid of all the middle ray garbage in it. What's that? Oh yeah, it was broken. I had to fix it. I did that yesterday. Sometimes
Okay, now what happened?
I actually make things ahead of time.
There's actually a middleware program on the share. Copy everything over and I found it on the phone.
Honestly, you're gonna have a hard time finding good resources on middle rays these days. It is dead. Like
Oh, it is.
NVIDIA bought middle ray, turned it into iRay, and then after a year or so, just cut development. They just realized it was the tech had been pushed as far as it was probably gonna go.
Is iRay any good though?
iRay is like middle ray, but with like kind of, you know, Arnold like does the iterative renders where it renders and it's kind of grainy, then it renders again, it looks a little bit better. That's what they were able to get out of middle ray, but I don't know. I think maybe some of that tech ended up in the RTX stuff eventually. It's hard to say. They don't really publish that stuff. But, honestly, if I were you guys, I would definitely look at, you know, Arnold comes to all this stuff, so there's lots of resources on Arnold. So I would definitely, learning Arnold's good. I hear good things about Redshift. V-Ray's been around a long time. It's pretty good too. But if you want to do this for free, Blender's out there. Blender has Cycles, which is every bit as good. And they even have an even better one that's like a real-time one. So it's like what you see in the viewport is what you get. It's almost like a game engine. It's called Eevee. It's pretty cool.
Actually, the two different markers in the same scene.
Yeah.
One with the cycles and one with Eevee.
Yeah.
Eevee was like 10 times faster.
Yeah. There's some stuff it can do, but it's not that big a list, really.
This is like there's so much stuff out there for Blender too. I mean, so many people want to help and this goes free. It's like, wow.
All right, everyone open in my middle ray? Yep, let's do a file open. I know I keep bringing it up because I keep researching Blender, and as soon as this class is over, I'm gonna like do a deep dive into it. All right, once you get Maya open, I want you guys to go into my computer, and we're gonna go to the S drive. My computer, student access drive S.
Wait a minute.
Clark Anna, Clark Burn 56. And we're gonna go, pardon me, we're gonna go into TSAC3, Texturing Seamless and Cuts 3, TSAC3. And we're gonna go into Scenes. And there's one in there called Eyes on Me S19. That's the one I want you to grab right there. Eyes on Me S19. That's the one we're gonna grab.
I feel like your shirt says I hate New York.
It says I, Venture Brothers, New York.
I love the thing. Like, I just get I hate New York. So,
I've never been, I want to go. Go ahead and open up that scene. There's 2 people who make almost the entire entire show Venture Brothers and they live in New York.
New York's too crowded for me.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like the Misfits school.
A little bit. They actually just have this. You guys should check out Venture Brothers. It's a good show. And the two guys that make it over here. Is anyone having a hard time finding the files? No, yes or no?
Trying to get there. The next, Clark.
You're gonna open up S19. As soon as you get the file open, eyes on me S19, I want you to do a file, save as. As soon as you get the file open, we're gonna save it to your iDrive now, so file, save as. And I want you to go to your current project and choose, should be scenes. Current project scenes, right? It's gonna be over here on the side. And I want you to save this as eyes on me, and then your last name. Eyes on me, your last name. I'm gonna go teach today.
I do have a whole
You're gonna go over here to the side where it says current project. And you're gonna choose scene. And then file name, eyes on me, your last name.
What the hell just happened?
Yo, it's hot.
Hey, Mike,
Well, it's humid.
Yeah, it makes it
I
worse.
opened one and 3 folders open and I'm trying to.
Okay, go and close that one.
Okay.
And you're just gonna go here, see. Oh, have you opened the file yet?
I thought I did, but
Okay.
nothing happened.
Open. I'm sorry, computer right there. S. Clark Annam. 56. And then texture and scene as effects.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the scenes?
That's where I was. Eyes on me.
Yep, that one.
Oh, now it wouldn't work when you come over. Okay.
And I do a file save as. So you have your own copy of it.
Save that. Saves.
And you're gonna go into on this side your current default project, which is in your iDrive. So just click scenes, and then just call it eyes on me, your last name.
You're not gonna try to build it all. Yeah, but I mean, everything else we can build the same.
All right, you guys all save up?
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
All right, so what's in this scene? We have, kind of back out here, we have a table,
Mm-hmm.
and on that table it's invisible because it has a glass material assigned to it, but there is a glass, a martini glass,
Mm-hmm.
that has a bit of wine. So it's just a bouillon, right? We took this bit of mesh and then used the glass to cut it out so it fits perfectly. And you can see there's a bit of a thickness to the glass.
Okay.
And then we have all these eyeballs that we're going to apply our textures to.
I feel like that's probably blood and not wine, considering the
Yeah,
eyeball.
wine.
It's the blood of my enemies.
And then we have all these little cocktail toothpicks that the eyeballs are on, right? Because we're fancy, right? We're not going to serve eyeballs.
Okay.
You're not going to eat them with your hands. Come on.
Okay, they're fancy olives, okay? They're fancy olives.
Fancy olives.
Olives.
Olives, so why do we make that?
Because they're fancy olives.
So, first thing, let's get our lighting going on here. It's going to help us see a lot of what's happening. So right now, if we go into Arnold and try to do our render,
You can't see it.
yeah, you're going to see
Nothing.
you're not going to see anything. Why is that?
We have to
You don't
light
have
our-
a
Yeah.
light.
Damn.
We have to make a light first. So let's go ahead and go to Arnold. Click on the Arnold tab menu. Go to Lights and choose Sky Dome Light. Sky Dome Light. And so Sky Dome Light makes this gigantic sphere around our whole scene, right?
Of course, of course.
Yes, sir.
And what we're going to do is load a HDRI map, and that's going to provide our lighting. So once we created our Sky Dome light, we should have a new tab over here in our attribute editor, the Light Dome Shape 1. And right now the default light is set to white. So what I want you guys to do is click the Create Node button. Create Node. Right there across from color, and we're going to load a file in there. So if we try to render it now, we do get our image, right?
That's fancy.
but it's pretty generic, of just blank, so it doesn't look amazing. So we're gonna create that node. It doesn't look bad, it looks kinda like Studio-like or something, right? We're gonna click on that color, create node right there. We get our create node box. What kind of node are we creating? We're creating a file node, so click file. Who is it? So now it asks what picture do we want, so we're gonna click on the folder to pick our picture. And I found a pretty good one, I think it's gonna work nice. And of course the air has to come on so I can shout it at you.
What'd you say?
What?
I found a nice picture!
Did you? I don't think I hear you. It's air.
Oh, man.
Either he's putting his mic on or he's gonna.
I found a nice picture for us.
Now you sound like a flight attendant.
You can notice the exits are to the right side of the room. Please keep your hands and arms and drinks away from the computers.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into my computer.
That's
I'm
right.
legit using this for a few minutes. We're gonna go to my computer. We're gonna go to Student Access Drive S.
Clark,
We're gonna go to Clark Annam
Clark 56.
56, and in the From Teacher file or folder, From Teacher, I found us a nice HDRI, kind of is like a little bit of like a cave off, like cave with a conference table vibe. I don't know why, but it works. So it's called Mount Washington Cave Room. Mount Washington Cave Room Ref. And again, that is an S drive, Clark Annam, Clark Merck 56, From Teach. And the file we're looking for is Mount Washington Cave Room Ref. Open that guy up.
No. You have a plain picture.
That is pretty cool. It goes
Wow,
back
you
to
could have told me
the-
that. I could have loaded that as a background in Photoshop for the eye.
Where's the bottom of the table?
I know.
There isn't a bottom of the table. We're not going to render that, so we don't need to model it. It's Hollywood, right?
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, we're only gonna, you only model like what's gonna be in front of the camera.
Yes,
So
sir.
now if we do a render, I'm gonna click back here on the background of the sky dome itself. I'm gonna click on the sky dome, and it says right here, there's the value says resolution. By default, it's 1000, but this picture is bigger, so I want you to type 3200 there, 3200. What's up? Have you not seen it?
Oh, you got mapped to intensity by mistake, so let's do this.
I don't And he wants the resolution to be what? 32?
Invisible force. We drop a book. Yeah, we can. Little card, the last letter falls on couch.
That's subtool, insert. Like a little board. Yeah, the arm is a well, all within where you converge it.
That would have been awesome. I still wonder if you think there are. Like, it was legit. Like, a
I want to see two.
there's a box of it, where it's Batman. It's like at that angle, it was tough, 'cause it was like, there's nothing wrong with it. The car was like right here, like the rest was over here, so like the car was driving in this direction.
We accidentally had it in intensity. And then we're gonna change this value to 3200.
Look at outlining and see what I think
Okay, I'm gonna use this to effortlessly talk over all of you guys.
That's a shirt clip.
Are you sure?
Yes. That's not close.
All here.
Steve just usually clips it to his beard.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't wanna use it now.
I think
I'm gonna go find Jeff's.
I think Steve does flip it to his beard. That wouldn't surprise me.
So what I'm gonna do, what we gotta do is set the resolution to 3200. If you don't match the resolution, it doesn't sample it quite enough, so it'll be slightly off. So the picture is 3200 wide, so put in 3200 as your resolution. And let's go ahead and just do a quick test render. So to do that, I'm gonna go up into Arnold, the Arnold tab, and just open up render, that first option. And if it doesn't start right away, you can click this play button to get it started. And you should see we have the scene going, but there's a few problems with it. First off, it's very bright, right? I feel like this scene's a little more ominous, a little darker than this, so we probably need to turn the scene down. Are you guys noticing any other problems in the scene?
I noticed 3 things. 1, the brightness. 2, the napkins are washed out, but that's part of the brightness. And 3, the background's blurry.
The background's too blurry.
There actually is no napkin.
There's no
Yeah,
napkin.
that's just the
That's
table.
light. That's reflection.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
reflection, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little too bright, but also, this glass is a problem, right? Right here,
It's dark.
it's really dark, and actually it's casting a shadow too, right?
Yeah.
That's not
For
totally
glass,
correct,
right.
right?
No.
Go ahead and close your render view. What we're gonna do over here in our sky dome light is we can adjust how strong the lighting is coming from our image for the sky dome. So you can use intensity to adjust it, but that is not the recommended method. The recommended method is the exposure value, because exposure is like a photographic term that everyone's pretty familiar with. So 0 is the default. If you go up in exposure, you get brighter images. If you go down in exposure, you get darker ones. So for exposure, type -1.5. So I'm gonna go in there and type -1.5. Now I'll do a render and see how that looks.
Does the format have anything to do with it, or?
Of the image?
Yeah, could that also change like maybe light tones, or?
It could, just if the picture's balanced brighter than other ones. Yeah. So, but generally you wanna adjust the exposure.
It changes the light, but we still get the
It can go down some more.
Yeah, so this has already dimmed the scene up a bit, right? So that fits the mood I'm looking for better.
But you still get the shadow.
But we're still getting the shadows, so we need to adjust those things. So again, we'll close render. So what we have to do is, by default, Arnold thinks everything is solid. Everything is opaque, you know, like a brick wall, you can't see through it, and everything is solid. So we actually have to go into Arnold and tell it, hey, no, these things selectively are actually opaque, light can pass through them. So go ahead and select the wine glass, and it's gonna select the wine mesh inside. And then we gotta go to our glass shape tab, glass shape. And we're gonna go into the Arnold tab. So just like where we went to mess with displacement for terrain and stuff, we're gonna go into Arnold. And luckily, it's just pretty simple. All we have to do is uncheck the opaque button right there, right under Arnold when you open it up. So select the wine glass, go into the shape tab, go into the Arnold tab, and then uncheck opaque. Now try a render. It's a lot better.
It's still casting it though.
So maybe we have to select the wine by itself. Let's try that. It's not, I mean, like there should be some darker image there, but yeah, so you have to select the wine by itself. So you might have to like angle your camera up and pick the wine like that. Then go back to your shape tab, Arnold, and then uncheck the opaque box. We can adjust like our transmission values after this,
Yeah.
but you see it's
It's
casting
casting.
red now.
Yeah.
So the light coming through the wine is turning red and kind of leaving a little bit of like a red tint on the table, and that's a lot better.
Like it got stained or something. Stained with red wine.
Yeah. So it looks a lot better, right?
Say it does.
I'd say that wine is a little thin looking. We might be able to tweak that material to kind of darken that up, but overall, it's an improvement, right? We don't have the dark, you know, the light stopped. Once it got to the thickness of the wine glass, it just stopped transmitting. So now that's fixed, and this glass looks great. It's a really good glass material. Good job, though.
The fireplace thing looked cool if there was a fire in there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Now, if we were told like, hey, we like this picture, but retake it with a fire in there,
Yeah.
and you can't do that, would you just go there in Photoshop and try to simulate a fire?
You could, if, there's a lot more to this than just a picture. So, you could try to simulate that. You might be able to just throw a fake one in there and then bake in the lighting,
Okay.
you know? It's tricky. There's a whole science behind taking these image-based lighting nodes, that, you know, people pay for them, you know? They build special camera rigs that will take all the photos of every angle. It's,
And wouldn't you be better off making a fire texture and placing that where the fire would be seen?
more or less, yeah, I would try to like do it that way versus going back to the picture and trying to do that in other exposure.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so, cool, we have our table set up, we have the glass material going, we have the wine texture going, we've darkened the lighting a little bit, it's all looking pretty good. So now we just need to start building out the eyeball material. And the toothpicks too, right?
You need to get a good size wood.
So let me close this. We're gonna spend a lot of time in the hypershade, so let's go ahead and just save up our scene first. File save scene.
Wouldn't it kind of cool if the light was red?
You could probably go into, you could build a area light and make it red and then cast that on this. You could definitely do that. And it would look cool.
Does this have eyeballs in the city kind of darker gothic?
Definitely, I'm there with you.
I would give it.
Okay.
So as far as we go, there's like textures.
You're gonna build out the materials.
Like as far as the lighting and stuff, that's all we need to do.
Yeah, you can just drop the color channel in after you make all the materials. Alright, so go ahead and open up your hyper shade. I'm gonna full screen mine to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. So, I did leave a few defaults in here. The table and the two table materials, they're just basic bombs. They really don't need to be adjusted. They're okay as is. But I did go in and make a new Arnold glass material and an Arnold wine material, so that we could get those nice renders with them. Let's darken up the wine real quick. Like I said, it seemed a little thin, like someone watered it down a bit. So let's go ahead and I'm going to middle click the wine material and drag it out to my slate. So just middle click, drag it out.
They're right here.
It might be right there already. Just go ahead and select it if it's there, and then hit the input outputs button right here. Input outputs,
How do you
select
know
the
if it's
wine
there?
material, and then hit input outputs over here. And that's gonna get rid of the other ones that are in the way, and just show us the AI wine. Now, one of the nice features about the material viewer up here we get in the corner is we can choose what render tech we want to use. So you guys might be on hardware, which is okay looking, but it's not how it'll look in render. So go ahead and change it where it says hardware to Arnold. And it's actually going to swap over to like a mini Arnold render engine. It already has a light-based image in it and everything.
I switched to Arnold, but I get a red box.
That means your rendering tab's open still. It only rendered one window at a time, so go ahead and close that out. Yeah, if you see this, you might see this when you open that up. This might happen. if you are in your material viewer, and I have too many windows open, if you're in your material viewer and you see this red box, it means, hey, Arnold's rendering somewhere else. It's not going to render in this window. So you need to go find that other, see I have Arnold rendering here. I need to go ahead and close that, kill that render for now. Now I can go back to my material viewer. So what's also nice about this is you can change the material. So by default you get a shader ball like this, which is just kind of this weird shape that just kind of lets you like see what a generic material look like. Right now it kind of looks like cranberry sauce, huh? But we can change it to something like teapot, which doesn't make sense for it, but we can do that. Glass fill looks pretty good, or glass splash looks pretty good. Either one, that's accurate to what we're doing, right? We're doing a thin fluid, so choosing one of those is actually going to help us kind of what they call look dev this material. And so I'm zooming up here on a part of this. You can see you can even rotate it with your Alt and mouse, just like you can in the scene. And so I'm rotating it so I can see a bit of this wall behind it. And I can see definitely that for wine, that's maybe a little thin, right? So what we can do is go down to the properties just below the material editor. And we can start playing around with these values. I think the color of the wine's good. It shouldn't have any metalness though, right? It's not mirror shiny. It should definitely be specular, so it should have highlights for sure, right? We can see those there. Let's go down to transmission. So in transmission, we can kind of adjust these values. What if we bring the depth up? Well, if we bring depth up, that makes it even clearer. We definitely don't want that. So let's bring that back down to 0. That's a little thick, right? That kind of almost looks like tar. What if we made it like depth of 0.05? That's better. It's closer. What about 0.025 for the depth? 0.025. That looks pretty good. I think that's close. You know, you might be a few decimals off, but I think that's better than what we had.
Now, how did you get in there?
What's that?
How did you get in there? A wine? Well, I'm in there, but mine don't say the same.
So I'm over here, and then over in the side is the property editor. Do you have the property editor?
Right, I had the property.
Okay. So you just, there's a, right here on the side is a scroll bar. You need to go up and down, because there's all kinds of options in there, right? We need to scroll through it. So I just scrolled down until I found the
I see the
transmission
depth.
tab, because it was light transmitting through the object.
And so what
It's
you
not
set the depth?
automatic that,
What you set the depth?
driving our Dodge pickup.
Oh, I
Don't
see.
get a Dodge pickup, they have the worst transmissions ever.
Like an old man. 0.025.
0.025, yeah.
And you can adjust these colors. Maybe you want like a more red wine instead of more purple like I chose. Or maybe you want a white wine or something. It's up to you. But I'm happy with this. So we're going to create a new material for Arnold now.
All right.
And one of my favorite ways and one of the fastest ways is just out here in our editor. I'm going to hit the tab key and it gives me a little search bar. And I'll type AI standard. And it works if you spell it right. And I'm going to choose, it filters our search engines down to standard hair, surface, and volume. We're going to choose AI surface, standard surface. AI standard surface.
Looks like milk.
It does, it kind of looks like Elmer's glue or plastic. Let's go ahead and change our, let's rename this first. So we should have a new standard surface material. I'm going to go ahead and click on the input output button over here in the editor. And what that'll do is it's going to hide the other material and just show us this new one. So I click on it here. And then up here, click on our input output. It's cleared the slate for us, so it's nice and easy to see. And over in the property editor, I'm going to rename it to, I like to keep the name of the material like what render tech it is, so I'll say keep it AI, but then I'm going to call eyeball. eyeball, and I'm going to give it a number, 0, 1, because I'm going to need a different material for each eyeball. So the glass fold, or glass fill, or like the glass pour, doesn't necessarily work for me now for an eyeball. So I'm going to change it from glass fill to probably just sphere. Just basic sphere, because that matches an eyeball. And right now it looks very plastic, right? It looks like a pool ball,
Right.
like the cue ball. Not entirely, but it's close. So I was just playing with the values the other day. I don't really necessarily remember what they were precisely. I don't think there's a preset for eyeball, but that'd be cool. All right, you volunteer the eye.
Sure. I still got another one.
Yeah.
That's why God gave me two.
So let's go ahead and I think we can. Something might sell. They have like architecture ones and stuff too. I think most of this is probably fine as is, except it's a little bit like hard and shiny. So what I found was there's two things that kind of work well. Let's start with the transmission value. So where it says weight. Weight is like how strong is your transmission, and so if 0 means off, 1 means 100%. So if I turn up transmission to 100%, it's essentially glass now, right? It's all the way see-through.
Hey, they have glass eyeballs on there.
What's that?
They have glass eyeballs.
That's true, but they're not entirely see-through, right? So I'm going to bring that transmission up, but only very slightly. It doesn't need to be like 0.1 is probably where we're going to go with that. 0.1. And it's just slightly transparent, right? You know what? Before we go further, maybe we should just load one of the eyes in to kind of help us. So before we go, let's go back up to base. And across from the color channel, we're going to click on Create Node. That's a little black and white box. Create Color. We're going to go to File. And we'll get our file node out here. Go ahead and go to Image Name and go find your eyeball 1. So you're going to go back to iDrive, My Computer iDrive, that's the one with your name on it. Go into your My Textures and find your I01, I01 PNG. Oh, let me just close it. So we go back in the base other channel. File. So now we're just file node. I'm just going to go in there and find the first eyeball picture. Should be in My Textures. It's going to look a little weird in the shader ball because it doesn't have the right projection. It's going to be a little bit stretched out and weird, but yeah, it's kind of skewed out weird, right?
I see you. Also, would I do normal at the same time?
Yeah, well, when we do the projections of the camera, it'll be fine. So it's not perfect right now. It looks weird. That's fine. You can also put it on like, I don't know, shader ball. There you go. Yeah, eyeball ocean. See, it looks really messed up on that one.
That looks like
Do cloth, it looks like a floating eye ghost.
Oh man, I don't like it. Yeah, we'll stick with sphere. So back to this node, our main shader node, and let's scrub down back to the transmission tab. So you might have to use your the bar here to slide down the scroll bar. Find transmission, and let's bring up the depth a little bit. We're just gonna see what this does for us. I only want to give it a tiny depth, maybe like 1 or 2. We don't want a lot of see-through, but we do just kind of want a tiny bit of light entering the eye. So we'll say depth of 1 for now. The other thing we're gonna change is when light passes through this eyeball, what color should it be? What color is it gonna change to? So with wine, we had to change purple. But what would material in your body change to? Pink. Yeah, some kind of pinkish, because you have blood vessels. So I'm gonna click on the color swatch itself. Just click right here on the white band for color. And we get a new color bar. And it's similar to Photoshop. So you can use this wheel here to choose your hue by sliding it around. And then you have a saturation value and a value slider, I guess. And you can kind of find, you just kind of want to find like a light pinkish tone. So I might move my wheel slightly into the more pink orange.
Okay, no, good stuff.
And I'll pick somewhere right here. So if you want my exact color, don't yet, I don't like it, hold on. Okay, I want that. So if you want these exact same colors as I'm using here, you can just go to the H and type 8.74. For the S value, 0.827, and for the V value, 0.857. It'll match exactly. Anyone need those values up any longer? And so what that does is as light passes through, it's just going to add a slight pinkish hue to this. If like we turn it up stronger, you can see it starts to have that effect. Honestly, I haven't played with this stuff enough in Arnold to have a full grasp of how to make exactly what I want. I've just had some mild success with it so far. But all we want to do is just kind of give it a slightly translucent feel, and I think we've gotten there.
Are those in use as a substrate scan?
That's what transmission is. The last thing, well, we can go crank up the subsurface a tiny bit too. Like 0.1. Right, you have to do both of these to make it work. I'm gonna skip it. So there you go for transmission. The last thing we'll do is, there are 3 settings here that do a very similar thing. There is coat, there is one called sheen, and there's one called thin film. And basically each one of these is going to add kind of like a shiny layer on top of the eye. I think coat works best for cars, like a clear coat, like there's this layer of clear paint over the color. Sheen is just extra shininess, and then thin film kind of adds like a bubble around it. And that kind of works for an eyeball because there is a thin layer of skin around your whole eye that protects it.
It is clear, so.
And it is clear, yeah. So I played around with the settings yesterday, last class. I checked each one, and I think thin film, if you open up this one here, thin film, was the best one. You can just turn this thickness up, and you'll see it actually starts to get an extra layer of shininess to this ball. And it just kind of adds like this secondary set of reflections to it that makes it just a tiny bit shinier. And that's going to make its highlights pick up a little bit stronger. Just make it feel a little bit more like it's this wet, UV kind of eyeball.
What did you go with?
I'm just going to go with, I don't know, not 1,000, that's high, like 100. You kind of see right here, you get this extra highlight along the edges, and you kind of get these deeper reflections. we've set all of this up, and we can go ahead and apply this. You guys want to put this on an object real quick, just to kind of get a sense of what it'll look like?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and minimize hypershade. This eyeball right here, this one in the middle of the group of 3, I'm going to click on this eyeball, zoom in, and what I'll do, I'm going to right click on it and hold, so we get our options, and I'm going to go down to Assign Existing Material, and apply the Arnold AI Eyeball 01 we created. Now it's not perfect, it just applied it on like a generic sphere. The way, you should just do this now. We'll just do all of them at once. What we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of cheat. Instead of doing like a perfectly unwrapped sphere, what we're gonna do is a planar map. And we're gonna point the plane at our camera. So what I want you guys to do is to right click on the bookmarks. So right here in our viewport is that little bookmark. It kind of looks like a flag. Right click on that. And it says, it gives you an option to create or go to render final shot. Click on render final shot. So once you've done that, don't move your camera. Leave it in place for a second. Looks like a little flag, like a little bookmark. A cheval almost. Well, it's the opposite of cheval, I guess. I'm sorry. It looks like this one right here, kind of like a banner. Just right click that guy, and then choose the render final setup. So this is how we're going to render. So to make sure all the eyeballs are facing the camera, what we're going to do is go to UV and go to planar. So UV planar, but choose the options box next to planar. UV options next to planar. And we're going to get our planar mapping options. And so before we always did like X, Y, or Z, right? This time we're going to choose the camera option. So choose camera. And I want you to click apply. And so what should happen once you click apply, I'll move mine up here out of the way so you can see the scene, is it's pointed that planar projection right at us. Right directly at us, so the eyeball's looking at us. So while we have this open, while we're doing this camera apply, we should just do it to all the other eyeballs. So go ahead and select the next eyeball over. I'll go back to my select tool because I don't want to do it with the blue wires, I want the green wires. So make sure you go do right click object mode, select your eyeball, and then if we keep hitting apply, it keeps this box open. So I'm just going to click apply again, and it'll do another planar projection, but this time oriented at the camera. Go back to object mode, select the next eye, and just keep applying. Right click object mode, select the next eye, I'm going to choose the apply option again. This will make it easier when we go back and apply all our eye textures. What's it saying?
It's saying plane final was only project commercial now, polygon face structure and polygons.
So did you have, were you in object mode? Or were you in sub-object mode? Oh,
Every time you click on a new eye, you have to do a right click.
yeah. Because when you apply it, it goes into component mode because it highlights the UV projection, and that's a component. So when you go to the next one, you got to go back to object mode to get out of that, select it, and then apply. Select the next eye, object mode, apply. Blue wires on your object means your component. So sub-objects like vertices, lines, faces. Green wires mean object mode, the whole object overall. And I'm going to go back to object mode here. So all the UVs are done now. And you can see that one eyeball we applied it to, it's on there now. And the eyeball looks correct, right? It doesn't look all like distorted and weird.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But before we did that apply, it was.
It was all, it looked like it did up here in the hypershade, all like,
Yeah.
like goofed out and weird. Yeah. So now with this eyeball, let's go ahead and check our render to make sure our material looks good with the scene. So I'll go ahead and bring up Arnold, click on my Arnold tab, click on the render, and let's see what it looks like. Not bad. I like it. it's all gooey and shiny and gross.
Okay.
So I think that's good enough. That'll definitely work for the rest of my eyeball materials. So instead of recreating all these eyes over and over again, what we're gonna do is duplicate the shading network and then rename it, and then we can just load a different texture in each eyeball material. So I'm going to stop this render, go ahead and close this, back out here to my scene. And let's go ahead and open back up our hyper shade. Try really hard not to call it a hyperdrive. And what we'll do to make more of these textures, or more of these materials without having to go in here and tweak all the settings, I'm going to select all the nodes, just drag a window over all of them. They should all highlight green. Just drag a window over all of them, like that. Just click down here, drag my window out. I'm going to close that up. We got the, yeah, 2 lines open. Select them all, we're going to go to Edit, Duplicate Shading Network. So select your material, or that whole material tree, go to Edit, Duplicate Shading Network. Edit, Duplicate Shading Network. And so what that should have done is created another set of nodes for you. You might have, I don't know why it puts them right on top of each other, frankly it's annoying. But you have to kind of click there and drag out the second set of nodes.
Edit, duplicate,
Duplicate shading tree.
shading network, right?
Or shading network, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Sometimes I get old
That's all right.
soft stuck on my head. So I did is I just grabbed it and I dragged it out of the way.
It's right there.
Yes. They're not doing it for you? Are you sure they're not stacked on top of each other? Does that happen? No, they weren't there before. So like you have them all selected. Edit. Let me just try this.
Okay, now it's what, 5, okay, 6. Save as.
And that should, let's double check, but it should make a new shading group too. Oh, okay.
Okay, then.
That's not weird.
Save
Bring this one back out.
So yeah, just make your adjustments and then when you go to resave it, just save the override
Okay.
picture. See, we got the memo too at that time. So when you just go save the pictures, save it, that's the same, and ask if you want to fix it. That's the exact same.
Who is it?
Who
is it? Is it my brother?
Hello. You know, because my brother calls and goes, it's that idiot brother of yours.
So what's cool about, one of the nicer things about Maya is if you like label things with numbers at the end, Maya figures out, oh, you're setting up things with numbers. And so when you duplicate that shading tree, it's already called an eyeball 2, which is handy. And all we have to do for this one to make the second eyeball is we just have to go back one node to the eyeball texture, the eyeball 1 PNG, select that node. And where it says image name, it has eyeball 1 PNG. Go ahead and open that file up, the folder there, right there. And find your I02 PNG. remember make sure you do PNGs. I don't think Maya likes PSDs. May have problems there. So now I can shrink my hypershape. And I want, you can put this anywhere on NDIs except this one. I want this one to be that frog eye. The one in the glass, that'll be our frog eye. So let's go ahead and like do this eye or do any other eye. Just leave this one alone for now. I'll do this one back here.
What if I want that one?
I mean, you'll get the grades you get then, so.
Wasn't expecting too much.
So yeah, I'm gonna right click on that eyeball, go down to assign existing material, and choose eyeball 02. And boom, you should see that eye drop on there. And let's go ahead and render these two out. I'm gonna try to catch a little bit of the wine glass in them too. So they're picking up a little bit of that pink hue from the transmission, picking up a little bit of the pink from the gradient you applied. What you could do look cool is if you went back to all those veins and turned them into a displacement map. And they like poked up a little bit, that'd be cool. We don't have to, just that's a neat idea. Yeah, like the way I'd actually do these is I would do two planar projections. I would do like the front half of the eyeball on one part of the texture and then the other, the back half. You usually don't even see the back half, so I don't. That's why I didn't have you guys worry about it. They're usually in a head.
Build like a weird elf hat that's all crumpled up, red, bloody trail, back soft of the eyeball.
You don't get sorry by eyeballs anymore, sorry. We had enough eyeballs.
Because we took this class.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't like eyeballs anymore.
Yeah.
Why not?
I
Because
really thought they were creepy. Now
I took this
taste that.
Photoshop class with Michael Clark, and you know, changed my world forever.
All right, let's go back into Hypershade. What is crucial when you are duplicating these? We had a small error earlier. You might have to close your Hypershade if it's not working and then reopen up Hypershade. But you have to at least select these front two. You have to select the shading group and you have to select the main material. If you don't select the shading group, it's like a bucket that needs or like a box that holds all of the shading data. If you don't have that group, it can't apply it to stuff. So at least select these first two nodes and then do an edit, duplicate, shading network. Oh, now it's being a jerk to me, Marcus. Yeah. Select them all again, edit, duplicate, shading network. All right, that's not gonna work. It just works better if you select all the nodes, I guess.
Okay, wait a minute. Now where is it?
Yeah, I've done it the other way too, so. So this one
What the
already comes
heck?
out labeled eyeball 3. Even if you don't have all your eyeballs made, you can do all these steps. That way it's a lot easier to put them out there. So I'll select this material, and I'm gonna go into the color node right there behind it, select that one. And I'm gonna change out the image name, or the image name, open up that folder. The only other eye I have made is the frog eye, so I'm gonna find that one real quick. Open that one up.
I colored.
Minimize my hypershade, and I'm gonna apply my monster eye, the frog eye here. But if you have other ones, you're gonna have to put them in different spots. So I'll just go ahead and here, go to assign existing material, choose eyeball 3, and then just get my frog eye. Go ahead and do a render real quick. All right, you guys need a detailed step-by-step on how to do all 6, or you guys think you can manage cloning those trees and making more? What's that?
The textures, like, didn't come with that sequence.
Okay. Maybe just do it there. Cool, so it's starting to look good. Go ahead and save it up. I I'll walk around real quick and then we'll take our break. Yes, you definitely have to do that. So,
Where you go again?
okay, I6 is really cool. If you accidentally hold shift and drag something that duplicates it, like great Photoshop, annoying. Usually.
I cannot get my eyeball to render.
Yup.
Sometimes you have to force on to update, so go to
What the hell?
and then say,
Okay. Take these two.
it is over.
Maybe mine don't touch you
Yeah.
anymore.
Update full.
Add,
Sometimes you gotta
duplicate,
do that. and force it to-
shady networks. Okay, now this connected to
Which one?
This one.
Okay.
this, which is connected to what the hell?
Hey, was that the item we had? No, is there a problem with the file?
Okay, okay. There. Okay.
Okay, so, okay, I know what that is. What's actually happening, is there are two materials, two meshes right on top of each other. So we have eyeball 3 and eyeball 6. See how it's the same. So it's good to make sure we have it right now.
Just the material on the form. Oops.
So that's why I was showing.
Oh, okay, so wait, what is this one?
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is I.
Okay.
Okay, now. Where's
Dude, that was like the quickest crash ever. I thought was about to happen. I was like,
Make sure you guys save up your scene. Let's go ahead and take a 25-minute break, so everyone will be back here just before 6. We'll make the toothpicks and we'll get our render started. And then we'll get it. Now's a good time to make eyes. Is anyone not finished with your eyes? Go ahead and make them up. That way you can have them for your render.
1024.
Yeah, 1024s.
Could you tell me how to do the iPhone again? Because I didn't get a picture of it halfway through. I was wondering how you did these clouds.
Select all the white parts with a color select. So select color range.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily a demo for like a theoretical either add more gray tones by shift clicking out there in the document, or you can move up the fuzziness. That's good. Is it okay?
brushing it.
Now backspace, delete everything. And now Control D to get out of this. And then user blend modes to add a darker layer to it.
So we're not gonna have drinks from
Yeah. I'm gonna go on
What
your
just
computer
happened?
till Jeff's your fault.
I cut you a decal to put on there.
What's that? Oh, you want to?
No, if you want something on there, just tell me. and
I done got all
just bring it in.
clustered here. I'm like, what the hell?
Okay, you got a lot of materials. Which
What
one do you
was
try
I
to work on?
supposed to do? I'm
No,
on,
you should have one for each eyeball, so it looks like you have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So I'm on eyeball 5, and I just,
Can I help you real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because you got a lot of clutter. So what we'll do is we'll click the little like squeaky clean bubbles,
Okay,
and then we'll
okay.
find eyeball 5 up here and just drag it out.
Oh, that's simple. Okay.
Yeah, that way you have a little more clarity. And then you can just go ahead and swap out that eyeball. Man, it is freezing up here.
I'm gonna dial back some thermostat a bit for you guys. Is that okay?
That's just in the freaking light box. So close out light box for.
Can you cut?
Go ahead. Yep, sir.
Can you cut adhesive vinyl?
You mean like decal or?
Like a piece of vinyl that I can stick to or something else.
Yeah, it's like a decal.
Yeah. So like I'm having like this big banner made. I'll pay for it. Big like banner.
How much you
Can the
pay?
eyeball find?
Like $35.
Okay.
Cost it.
It's a sign of the cemetery.
But the thing is like the design's gonna have times and prices on it that they want to change. So I didn't think that part of the design.
Right.
I just wanted to stick like vinyl decals there for the prices.
Yeah.
They probably need about like maybe that fall or so. Did you hear those?
Yeah.
If I gave you the font, the size.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Okay, how much would you charge for something like that?
How many do you want to do?
It's gonna be like a time range and a price. And I think I'm gonna have them on 4 different posters.
Four different posters, so we're looking at about maybe a foot each, or
Yeah, probably about that.
Hey, Mike,
$10. Not that much.
how come that eye didn't come out?
That's because that just covers material. I ain't gonna charge you for it. The labor's not that bad.
What happened there?
So that's.
I mean, I'm not paying for it, my work is. Okay, so this is happening to some people is there's 2 eyeballs on top of each other. So there's, yeah, there must be, I didn't catch this when I gave you guys the file, but there's a problem there. So what I'm gonna do is just delete that eyeball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clothing, we have clothing, hardware, guns, parts.
Yeah. You know what? Hold up. Danny, how would you feel about showing the class how to make a knife? Yeah? I think you're good at it. There's a couple people that weren't here for it, so I thought you'd be good. You made a bunch of them, made really good ones.
Danny.
Yeah, you want to run through one?
No, not really.
No?
Come on, Danny.
How about Gio and Andre watch me one over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think sometimes the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else.
We have army
Yeah.
curves. We looked that up.
Look at what?
We have
The
king
image
stride.
itself, like when they
Stuff like that.
1024 by 1020.
Let's go machine parts. Those.
Everyone sign in? Andre's here today, Jeff's here today, I got you, Jeff. Brittany, you're here today, right? Danny's here today.
Yeah, different stuff. It's just point,
Danny will run through that.
That's what we're doing.
Danny, we got-
Hey, Mike, is there a way to?
Put chicken feet on it, dude.
Hey, Mike, is there a way to get the eyeball to point a certain direction? or
Yes,
no?
I'll go over that after break.
Oh, okay.
I gotta eat though. I'll get
Did you figure it out?
I deal with messing with it, it was getting frustrating.
How to get the eyeball to point another direction?
We're gonna do this curve, and he deleted part of the hand, we make it, but when he did
Like,
that,
instead of-
I don't have my money. He's like,
instead of
"Oh, yeah,
pointing-
go back. Because you're gonna have to do something."
And they don't want to make it.
Showing? Where the hell? Okay.
All these different.
Yeah, you go to UV on the top.
What the hell I just do? I just fucked up. I clicked on something. I just, okay. Gotta load that eyeball in there or what? I know I ain't going crazy.
You can load IMMs too, you can get IMMs.
Is this the
You
material?
can get like nautical
Eyeball.
IMMs. So,
Is there another?
you can actually get.
There is another eye on there.
You can get, ships.
Now, what did he do to get that eye
So I'm
off
saying,
there?
work on your octopus, get it freaking badass, and then all you're doing is you save everything, and if you have it as a tool, it's just like when we go to the 3D, or we just do a Spirit 3D, you go here, and you just make sure you do insert, and then you add whatever tool you have. You add that
Okay,
ship,
there it goes.
you skew it down, you rotate it, you put it in his hands. What else did he have? He had a ship, a shell. I would, for your thing, try to make a ship.
That green eyeball, what's wrong with it? Should have made it a little bit
I don't know
bigger.
so much about a shell. Maybe
Let's
adding
go
some of
there.
the shell or the barnacles on him would be cool. But if you add a shell, it's like, all right, what's he got, like a giant clam? Because it's not gonna be perspective for everything else. It's gonna really,
Take
the
everything
shell
else.
will make it look small, but the ship's gonna make it look big. But then everything together, it's like.
Transform.
So.
Gotta do it right.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do different ships. So if he's got different ships, and like, dude, you do planes, do like, he's got 8 legs, so you have something in every arm. Let's say like, you could do, yeah. See, they got all these extra ones, they got different ones altogether.
Yeah, it's
It's just all these IMMs that people make, like pockets, all these different things, and it's just. Yeah, see, there's female hands, male hands. So you create.
The guides.
Say that.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Some boats, no. Oh, Pat.
Yes, replace. Okay, go back to Maya.
But yeah, we'll work on that, like, we say an octopus, just to get that knocked out.
Go back to Maya.
If you,
Maya, what's
that's it,
that?
arms and everything.
Okay, right there. You wanna click on that? You wanna?
But you do,
Oh, it did it automatically.
grab throw the blimp in there and
Yeah,
don't like,
blue one.
you can add the blimp, other stuff that we've
Go
done,
back to.
and like, if you do a ship, you can do like different types of, like an old style ship, a new style ship,
Right
old style
there.
plane, new style plane, different things in there.
Okay, all that. You wanna take the vein.
That's the main thing, and then whatever else you throw in there, you can even throw a shark or whatever, even if it's just him, just the octopus itself, it's still gonna be so
Now
cool.
you wanna take the. This right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Monday, I'll probably get here like 2 o'clock or
You
something.
wanna edit, you wanna transform.
Of course, I can show up early for Photoshop for a teacher.
Edit.
Well, I think it might be.
Yeah, it's nice to get it up.
Okay. Transform scale.
Just because, I always say that because you're right there.
The, I do the radial burst, I'm trying to have the way I, like keeping really hard going in the middle.
Oh, deselect.
Okay.
Okay. Now you wanna do that. You wanna come back here, you wanna go to file, you wanna save as.
Now,
You want a PNG highball 3.
That one better?
It's still doing it, it's better, but it's.
What strength are you doing?
Say,
It's an 80 for the noise and then like.
okay, PNG.
Oh, it's 100. It's full strength radio.
Okay.
Okay, where the hell am I?
And zoom is best as well.
it's going pretty good. We got our thing for our final assignment, so we're trying to, get that going, so I was just like,
Okay, how's that? The
some
same?
ideas, but I'm trying to build up.
PNG
Like what we're
highball
doing,
3.
and
My.
Because I always thought, like, man, you gotta,
Save
like, when I first started ZBrush, like, you look at a scene, you gotta build everything there. Or you just build components and then bring them in as tools. And then start adding them in here, changing sizes and all that stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah, they added them. Yeah, it's really neat doing that. It's like, mine's got a demon and an angel and fire and all that other stuff.
It does.
Still got you.
Okay, do my save copy as.
There we go, that's impressive. It gives like a little flex from the keyboard.
Oh, shit.
go from, you want to keep it
See
in the
that.
middle, so it doesn't like break down.
Nice fashion. What I said. Say, my